Welcome back. This is your host, Noura Almasri, and this is Echoes of Impact with Noura. We're back with my friend, Brittnei C. We're talking about federal funding freeze. And Brittney, welcome back. I want to ask you about the temporary restraining order. I want you to elaborate on that and tell me what exactly people need to know more, like what's more we can talk about.
What more we can talk about, and I have it pulled up here. But before I get into it, I just wanted to say just at least one more thing that would have affected the freeze, which would have been like scientific and medical breakthroughs. That's also a part of the federal funding. So if they had a cure for all cancer and it was just like one shot that you could take, all of that would have been stopped had the freeze been into effect. But just to get into this um temporary restraining order, and if you guys didn't already know this, February 2017, I believe, our President Donald Trump, he tried to do this then. And then he still didn't wait the time. And now he was trying to pass this overnight and they still declined it. And they titled this the protecting and meaning and value of American citizenship. That's what they call this. And they passed an emergency notion for a 14-day temporary restraining order. And this would have been in January 2023, 2025. And this is where we get to what I said between the 27th in the early hours of the 27th and the 28th of January 2025. This is why he was trying to push this, because he's like, well, I'm going to do this, but with all other orders in place, you can't do that. And it was a judge from Washington, D.C. that stopped this. And they wanted more of an explanation on why he was doing it, but he couldn't really say why. Um, they were saying on here that it was going to be do irreparable harm. It was going to deprive people of their constitutional right to citizenship and all associated rights and benefits, including subjecting them to risk of deportation and family separation, depriving them of access to federal funding for medical care and eligibility for basic public benefits that prevent child poverty and promote child health. This is from the temporary restraining order. And this goes to employment, education. This also, I didn't mention it before, but since the restraining order, it does have everything to do with children as well. Because if you're from a low income family, and what has always happened with low income families, your children always got free lunch throughout the majority of their school career. At least until they got to college, your child always at least had something to eat at home. And if they couldn't bring their lunch, the school provided them free lunch, or you signed up for that. That was a threat to be taken away. And I'm just going to read another part here that was saying that to obtain a temporary restraining order, the plaintiff must establish that they are, one, likely to succeed on the merits, and two, irreparable harm is likely in the absence of preliminary relief, and three, the balance equities tips in the plaintiff's favor, and four, an injunction is in the public interest. This is why we a lot of people got into action, used their voices, and said absolutely not. So for those people who never sleep at night and they were telling us this, like, hey, midnight this thing is going to hit, 4 p.m. Eastern this thing is going to hit at 5, their ear has been to the ground, and they were the ones that saying, hey, that's our constitutional rights, you can't do that. I believe in order for this to take effect legally, it has to be a 30 to 45-day period, and everyone has to be on board, not just the president. So, yes, this is all here, and this is the reason that they utilize to say, hey, you just can't overnight stop everyone's benefits because you're either trying to take away their 14th Amendment right, which is the amendment for natural citizenship here in the US. It's what we've always went by in the US. So that's something he wanted to put a pause on, either to kick immigrants out that have lived here, or illegal immigrants. Maybe they're in the middle of getting their documents, or maybe they never had the intention to get it, but it was targeted to them. But it was a domino effect to everyone else. And this didn't matter what your skin tone or your nationality or your background was, because of alleged illegal immigrants. This is why the freeze happened in the first place.
Got it. So people are scared. Like whenever they hear anything the president did, like everyone gets scared. What if that? Now it's my opinion. Like I was telling my son, like I believe, you know how every president promises a lot of things in their campaign, and then when they get in office, a lot of them, like a lot of promises are not fulfilled because, in my opinion, I mean, this is nothing. I do not relying on anything. I just like this is my humble opinion is you know they know the law, and they know they cannot do this something, so their advisor told them, oh no, you cannot do this, so they end up like in front of the public, they're breaking the promises. Now the President Trump does the opposite. He promises things, and then he wants to show that he does what he promised, so he do those executive orders, and then someone comes to block them because they are illegal and they don't go on anyway. But in the front of the public, in the eye of the public, he did what he promises, but they blocked him. They are the evil, but he's the great man. So this is my humble opinion. I don't know if you agree with this argument or not, Brittney.
I do agree, and here's why. We've seen it. How many times has he been in office and we've seen him say something and then he promises to make change and then he does whatever he wants?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So I wanted to ask you now, we hear judge from Washington blocked his order, judge from Texas blocked his order. So who are these judges? Are they Supreme Court judges, or any judge can block the president order?
Oh no, we are like in our state of Texas, our highest order is the Texas Supreme Court. And in DC, Washington, DC is the US Supreme Court, the only Supreme Court in the US, and they have the power even over the state of Texas to block this. And that's what happened. And this was an emergency because, like I said, they were going to deliberate for 14 days, and we were going to have a decision on February 3rd. But almost as soon as he said, we're going to pass this, they stopped him at, like, as soon as this passed at 5 Eastern Standard, the judge stepped in at 5 Eastern Standard and said, no, this will not go. This is the reason why it cannot go.
This is why we love this country, because there is law that everyone has to follow, even the president, even if he doesn't want to, but he has to follow. So and this goes for every citizen and not citizen. So thanks God for the freedom we got in America, because believe me, guys, let's appreciate what we have, because not everyone has that. I'm originally from Syria and we never had that. Hopefully now the government is changing, and because of the revolution, and we have a great new president, we're gonna have that. And we're gonna make sure like we're gonna have that, because we have to live safe in our country, and America does guarantee that for every one of us. Even if you don't see it, we see it like as immigrants, as someone who lived in another country, and see it like we see it. So I know, like my kids, for example, they don't see that, but they didn't live outside of the America. Like they always been in the US, born and raised here. So they don't see how what is it like how fortunate all of us here in America. So thanks God for that. Well, thank you, Brittney. Any final words would like to tell people, because we're almost running out of time and time always passes very quickly.
One final thought that I want to leave the people is, besides preparing and getting ready, think about everything that we've discussed in the past episodes. Think about what me and Noura have said, either together or individuals, about preparation. It's not always about the funding for reasons like this, but it's better that you're prepared so you know what to do versus being ill prepared and you're scrambling trying to figure out what do you do next because you are relying on this funding. Now, I'm not telling anyone to rob a bank. That's not what I'm saying. That's not a thought. But I am saying just prepare for, because like Noura, you mentioned in a previous episode, this is our warning to get everything together. This is our warning to prepare and make sure we get it right.
Mhm. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Brittney. Thank you for your time as always and for your wisdom. Guys, if you just came in, like we came into the end, so you can go ahead and watch this episode when you go to nowmedia.tv and you search for Echoes of Impact. You're going to find this episode so you can listen or watch from the beginning. Thank you so much for being here with me, always every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Central. I love you. I love to be here with you. I would love to hear from you. You can always email me with your feedback, with a guest request. Like if you want to be a guest here at Echoes of Impact, just email me at hello@echoesofimpact.net. That is hello@echoesofimpact.net. That was your host, Noura Almasri. Until next time, keep making an impact.
This has been a Now Media Networks feature presentation. All rights reserved.